Mayim Chaim, which is a community mikveh, an education center. And when she was a kid, she hoped to someday be a Broadway musical theater star. Now, she is also the mother of Emilia, who is a Join alumna. And Emilia is the director of programming and initiatives at Prose Door, which is the high school of Hebrew College. Emilia was in the fellowship, and when she was a kid, she also wanted to become an actress. Go figure. So here, give it up for mother and daughter team.
It's really not fair. We have to share the time. It's really not. It's not fair.
We did not coordinate.
No, we did
not. It happened anyway.
I'm talking really fast, right?
Okay. So we don't think we're organizers. Anyone who's known me through my Join Fellowship year, which is several of you in the room, know that I didn't maybe identify as an organizer, and neither does my mother. But here's a little bit about how we sort of came to understand that maybe we have some organizing in what we do.
Okay. Ta-da. Okay. About a week and a half ago, Mayim Chaim celebrated its 10th anniversary being open. We had a big event. We had a big hoo-ha. We had about 475 people there, and I think I talked to all of them, maybe not. And I remember none of the conversations except for one. And I talked to a woman who's been active from the beginning, and I said something about my daughter. Said to me, she thinks that that the reason this was so effective is because it was well organized. It was an organizing project. And I saw this look in her eyes, like, huh? It's like, what are you talking about? And I understood the look in those eyes. I was raised in a family where both my parents were union members. My father belonged to the typographers union. My mother belonged to the needlework. So that was organizing to me. It was getting people to sign cards and join unions. Then I got a little older. I learned about Saul Alinsky, Barack Obama. He was a community organizer. Those were organizers. I was not an organizer. As a writer.
I didn't call you an organizer until I learned what organizing was from Join.
Right. So then she started telling me I was an organizer. But through that lens, actually, and very much apropos of the introduction, I think it's all about storytelling. And that is what I do. I'm a storyteller as a journalist, not just as a novelist. And so I'm going to tell you the story of my shift that started Mayim Chaim, in fact. I had actually been to the mikveh that was open in the Boston community for the liberal community 2 hours a week. That was it. If there was a holiday, that was it. No access. I went there with my husband for his conversion to Judaism, and I went there as a bride because I was going to write a book about weddings. So I wanted to have that experience. Both times I felt like an anthropologist or an interloper. I didn't belong there, but I didn't really think about it until, are you touching me? I'm going too fast? You wanted mother-daughter. So I went, and then I was writing a book about conversion to Judaism, one of those 6 books, and I went to the mikveh a lot with conservative and reform rabbis to see what they did and how they did it, and what they sang and what prayers they did. And the day I went with the conservative movement, they brought all of their class at the same time, so there was a line out the door. And beautiful, right? All these people who want to become Jewish. But it was not okay. It was really not okay. People should be, it's like standing in line for the Department of Motor Vehicles, that you're choosing to become a Jew and change everything in your family. And I thought, boy, we can do better than this. And that was the shift for me. So I had been to this place before. I'd actually been several times, other times with other people. But this was like, we've got to do better than this. Not only for the people who are considering joining the Jewish people, but for us as a community saying, oh, we're so welcoming, we're so open. Not really. Not if we have people lined up at the door. Not if it's not beautiful. Not if people are, hurry up, you got to get out of here fast so the next person can come in. Not if we only have 1 hour, 2 hours a week. So that was the genesis, the beginning of, I have 1 minute left. That's the origin story of Mayim Chaim. And telling that story to other people in this great Boston Jewish community of ours, which is full of visionary people, they started sharing their stories about mikveh with me, or the hole in their life when they heard this articulation of what was wrong with a mikveh and what a mikveh might be. I heard stories about Oh, I wish that had been there when I was sick. Oh, I wish that had been there when I was getting married. Oh, I wish that had been there when I was being ordained as a rabbi. So I helped people identify, helped people open the door to their own stories of what might be developed here in the greater Boston Jewish community, which has since, I think, shifted the way the entire Jewish world understands not only mikveh, but ritual, and the possibility for change and for really truly broadening and opening the door to what we have in the community.
So she's not done. It's funny when people are not surprised that I'm in Jewish education, because for me it's completely a fluke. I never thought I would end up in Jewish communal work. I don't think I ever wanted to be in Jewish communal work, but I had these parents and I had this influence, and then all of a sudden it happened. I wanted to work in urban schools. I wanted to work in urban after-school programs. I wanted to work with kids who didn't have much, unlike the kids in Newton and Sharon in parts of West Hartford that were the kids I A, grew up with, and B, now work with. So I struggled when people would say, well, of course you're in Jewish education. That makes complete sense. And so through that struggle, which really came to the surface last year when I was a Joint Fellow and I was kind of trying to figure out how was I Jewish, how was I in a Jewish institution, and how was I going to change the things that I didn't like about those Jewish institutions. So I've been writing curriculum, I've been going on trips to the American South, I've been talking with my parents, I've been watching what people are doing. And what I came to was, okay, I love to teach, and I have a platform as a teacher. So I started this social justice leadership class that I've been teaching this semester. It's a pilot year, so we've got 3 kids, and they're amazing. And I was trying to figure out how to get us outside of Hebrew College, outside of Newton and Brookline, and the parts of Boston that my students lived in. And all of a sudden, what fell into my lap was an email from the West End House, which is a Boys and Girls Club right in Brighton, where my mother actually used to swim with me when she was pregnant with me. Fun fact. And so we went on a Tuesday night to work with their teens who were also doing a social justice class. And we talked about LGBTQ issues, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgendered, questioning, queer, whatever you want to call the Q issues, which were something that for my teens they had wrestled with, but for my counterparts' teens they really hadn't thought about or talked about before, particularly issues in the trans community. And it was a great session. It was an hour. It was too short. We wanted more time, but we had to go. And we left, and the 4 of us went to dinner. And they were almost speechless. They said, that was incredible. And one of the girls articulated to me, a student at Gann Academy, she said, we're so different and we're so the same. And I just said, oh, okay. This is gonna work. Because we're taking these kids outside of their stories, outside of the one narrative that we've been giving them for so long, and allowing them to see beyond it. And we weren't having class the next week, but they went back without me. They went back to the West End House without me, and they've maintained relationships without me. So I guess instead of being annoyed when people are not surprised that I'm a Jewish professional, what I see is that what my parents, both of my parents, have shown me is that if there's something I don't like, specifically within the Jewish community, that I have the ability, the power, the voice to change it, and to work on it, and to allow teens in particular to see not beyond their story, and to look to the stories that are literally next door, but that are so different and so the same as theirs.
What am I supposed to say?
Change. Yeah, sure.
Change. I'm supposed to talk about change. I work alone. I'm a writer. So the idea of working with a lot of people and being on a committee and running an organization, being a president of something, the last thing I wanted to do. But as a result of that, those 10 years of more than 10 years of being sort of officially the president now, just emeritus, and is the stories, is the phenomenal number of stories and the amount of change that I've seen in the Jewish community, both in terms of people embracing tradition, but also making it their own, of opening the doors wider, of redefining, reinventing, when necessary, hijacking a ritual to make it meaningful and relevant to people today. and empowering Jews to know that our tradition has always been a tradition of change. We would not be here if we hadn't changed constantly, and that it is our responsibility, it's our birthright, to continue to change our community to make it more just, to make it more beautiful, to make it more powerful, to make it more inclusive, to make it more generous, and all the things that we need to do. Is that it?
I think you said it.
Okay, we're done. Thank you.
That was beautiful. Can I have a handshake too? That was great. That was great. Wow. You know, just hearing that strikes me. The eyes you have to wear to do this are very special eyes. I'm feeling this more and more